chill season 2023 is here, and with it comes 2 brand new maps. But how do they hold up relative to the other maps? I think it's about time I ranked all the Splatoon 3 maps so you can have a better view of my inner psyche. But anyway, I've wasted enough time, let's get right on into it. Here's how I'm ranking the maps. Each map will be ranked in 7 separate categories for a possible score of 30 points. A map may receive up to 5 points for how it plays in each of the 5 game modes, 3 points for its overall layout, and 2 points for the design aesthetics. Don't get me wrong, the overall layout and design aesthetics of the maps aren't meaningless, but if a map is fun or good to play on to me, I don't really mind how it looks. With that out of the way, let's get to the ranking. Number 22, Barnacle and Dime. Barnacle and Dime is the single worst stage I've ever played on in Splatoon 2 or 3. I mean, where do I even start? It is the definition of a bad Splatoon 3 map. It has no flanks, no cover, it's overly cramped, it's a haven for long-range weapons, it has no change in elevation, and it's the same Tetris block shape we've seen in half the other maps in the game. As such, I consider it all but unplayable in almost all the modes, except for Clams, where I consider it barely tolerable. Therefore, I just can't bring myself to rank it any higher than the absolute worst map in this game. Number 21, Mincemeat Metalworks. I'm not gonna mince words, this map is bad. This was the worst map in the game until Barnacle and Dime decided to rear its ugly head. For starters, if you want to go to the enemy side of the map, you've got 2 choices, through mid or above mid. And then there's Clam Blitz. Okay, I love Clam Blitz, it's my favorite mode, but this map has the single worst Clam Blitz experience I've ever played in the entire series. And this is coming from an ink brush main. There's only 2 ways in, over a grate and squid rolling off a block. I guess it's fitting that this map is a literal garbage dump. Number 20, Hammerhead Bridge. Okay, I don't know why they've made a habit of butchering the Splatoon 1 maps so badly, but thanks to there only being 1 route out of spawn, it's way too easy to spawn camp, and it's impossible to flank. Tower control is practically unplayable because of this. Rainmaker and Clams are tolerable. If I didn't like those 2 modes the best, I'd probably consider them unplayable as well. They may have finished construction on the bridge, but they destroyed the map in the process. Number 19, Brinewater Springs. This map is basically a slightly better version of Barnacle and Dime. Don't get me wrong, I still think some of the modes are unplayable, but at least the elevation near spawn gives you some situational flanking abilities. But then there's the most glaring problem of all, none of the walls are inkable, for whatever reason. At least the map looks cool, so props to that, I guess. Number 18, Mahi Mahi Resort. Yes, even after they reworked this map, I still consider it mostly unplayable. Sure, they made the map wider, but that doesn't really help if there's still nowhere to go. And spawn camping on this map, my goodness, it's egregious. I will say though that despite all that, Clam Blitz is an exceptionally fun time there, and the reworks only made it better. If only they'd spend a little time making the rest of the modes good. Number 17, Umami Ruins. Overall, this map is tolerable. I guess that's the best word for it. It's about the same shape as Brinewater, but at least it gives you a couple extra routes and some sniping platforms. But besides that, yeah, it's got very similar problems to Brinewater. Yeah, the map looks really good, but looks aren't everything, unfortunately. Number 16, Bluefin Depot. For such a new map, I really wasn't expecting it to end up being ranked so low, but there's just too many things I can't ignore. For starters, I really don't like the way the map is split down the middle, and the elevators are fine. Most of the time the enemy is just waiting at the top to splat me whenever I get up there anyway, but Clams on this map, goodness, the elevators just make the mode all but unplayable here. It reminds me of Mincemeat how bad it is. Mincemeat! Mincemeat! However, credit where it's due, this is literally one of the best Splat Zones maps now. The zone moves closer to your spawn if you're not in control. They actually took my advice. Or at least they got as close as I think they realistically would in this game. Still, I'll take my dubs where I can get them. Number 15, Ship-Shaped Cargo Co. This is also one of the newer maps that everyone's been singing praises for lately, and although I can kinda see why, I'm just not really a big fan of it. First of all, it has quote-unquote multiple routes, which I don't really get that sentiment anyway. The map's so small they all converge in mid anyway. It's one of the worst Rainmaker maps for this, for example. It's not as bad as Mahi, but it's so short it might as well be. At least I find Tower to be a pretty good time, so it's got some redeeming qualities. Not to mention the map itself looks amazing, especially during Splatfests. Number 14, Flounder Heights. Now, don't get me wrong, Rainmaker and Clam Blitz are a pretty good time here, mainly on account of the elevation changes this map has, but even with that, it's still a Tetris block shape, not to mention it's way too easy to get to spawn, making Splat Zones and tower control kind of intolerable. But hey, it gave us some unique gameplay at a time when all Nintendo knew how to make was flat Tetris blocks. I'm starting to think they gave all the Brinewater's inkable walls to Flounder. They did come out at the same time, so that would explain a few things. Number 13, Undertow Spillway. If I'm being honest, I didn't expect to be ranking this map as high as I did. I really can't stand the overall layout of this map. The walls on the sides preventing flanks and the hump in the middle just make this map not fun to play on in zones or turf. However, I don't know what it is about this map, but it's my favorite map to play tower on. It's just so fun. I don't know why. There's no explanation. It's a bad map otherwise, but it's just so fun. And then Rainmaker. Given how bad the map is there, it's amazing. Not necessarily one of my favorites, but it's still really good. Imagine how good it'd be if they took out those flank prevention walls. Number 12, Humpback Pump Track. Now to start off, I'm not too fond of zones. The wavy ground in the middle makes it kind of hard to attack and defend, on top of the fact that there's hardly anywhere to retreat once you're down there. But other than that, I'd say this is a pretty average map all the way around. Not too good, not too bad, perfectly average. Well, I guess it did end up in 12th of 22, that's right about in the middle. And speaking of the middle, looks like we've made it about to the halfway point. Finally, it's time to start talking about the good maps. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get into it. Number 11, Crableg Capital. Finally, a decent new Splatoon 3 map to talk about. It only took them a year to figure it out? Well, better late than never, I guess. I'll say I actually do like the layout on this map. It does actually have multiple routes that don't all necessarily converge in the middle. What a novelty. Clams is a very fun time there. As a brush main, I can really appreciate the grates. Only thing I don't really like about the map is the tower control layout. I mean, for goodness sake, it pulls a kelp dome and backs up to score. I just can't get on board with that. But hey, at least it's different, I guess. Other than that, it really is a good map that I do appreciate playing on most of the time. Number 10, Eel Tail Alley. Okay, some of the maps that made it into my top 10 is probably going to make a few people unhappy, but it is what it is, I guess. Surprisingly, for a hallway map, I usually have a pretty fun time there. Yeah, I don't really like the way the map looks, and tower's kind of weird, but other than that, hey, zones is fun, Rainmaker's fun, Clam Blitz is a blast. I really like the bridge that goes up through the middle, that's a pretty fun concept. Kinda reminds me of Port Mackerel, oddly enough. On paper, you wouldn't think it'd be fun, but it's fun. Number 9, Museum del Fonsino. Thankfully, this is one of the few Splatoon 1 maps that didn't get butchered. You can tell the map wasn't made with clams in mind, but hey, I think they did a pretty good job working around it. The spinning platform gimmick is fun to play around with in the various modes. I can also appreciate that it's hard to get to spawn on Turf War, or at least harder than most maps. But yeah, I'd say this is the first map in the list that I enjoy playing every mode on. Holds up pretty well from the first game, I'd say. Number 8, Scorched Gorge. Look, I feel like this map gets way more hate than it deserves, and I don't really understand it. On turf and zones, they got these grates you gotta walk over in order to get to the enemy spawn, which, personally, I think we need a whole lot more of. Spawn camping is such a major issue in this game, my goodness. This map does a pretty good job at alleviating it, I'd say. Rainmaker and Clams are amazing to play, they're among my favorites. The only thing I hate about Tower is defending in the last 50 points, but my goodness, it's so bad. You remember the thing I said 5 seconds ago about spawn camping being alleviated? Unfortunately, they can only really get away with it for turf and zones, and for Tower, it's just so bad. I don't know, it's awful, I just can't stand it on that mode. But other than Tower, I think this map's amazing, and I love playing on it every time it comes up. Number 7, Wahoo World. Sure, this map might have bridges that retract every 30 seconds, but hey, I think it just adds to the gameplay diversity. This was my number 1 favorite map to play Splat Zones on in Splatoon 2, and it's still one of my favorites. Yeah, the bridges don't retract in that mode, but given that the point of the mode is to get to the middle, that would be kind of game-breaking. Though I didn't really like Tower Control or Rainmaker in Splatoon 2 at all, I think they've done a pretty good job at redeeming them for this game. But Clams was great then, and Clams is still great now. I mean, what can I say? It's a theme park. You're supposed to have fun there. Number 6, Sturgeon Shipyard. Another great map from Splatoon 2 that they only made better when they brought it over. Zones, Tower, and Clams are as fun in 3 as they ever were in 2. Rainmaker's gonna be my one nitpick for this map though. I don't appreciate how if you manage to get up to the left checkpoint, there's no way to get up there to defend other than going all the way back around the map. I've lost way too many games because of that. But other than that, I love this map, and I'm glad it's here. Better than Salt Spray Rig anyway, am I right? Number 5, Robo Ramen. Now, this is nothing short of the best DLC map in the whole game. I basically consider it the dev's answer to the waste of memory that is Barnacle and Dime. It has many routes, flanks, and inkable walls. It has several places with high elevation changes, with paths even crossing over each other in some points. It has an amazing layout, and the place looks beautiful, and it plays fantastic on almost every mode. Almost every mode. Yeah, when it comes to Tower on this map, I just don't like it. First of all, they practically butchered the map in order to make room for the tower's path. The checkpoint locations don't really make any sense. 2 of them are at the bottom of ledges guarded by walls, and the final stretch of the tower's path, it climbs up an uninkable wall and immediately knocks out. If the enemy team's not already up there to defend, it's pretty much game over as soon as the tower gets off the ground. But other than that nitpick, I absolutely love this map, and I can't wait to play on it again. Number 4, Inkblot Art Academy. I'm starting to see a trend here. It seems while the Splatoon 1 maps get butchered, the Splatoon 2 maps just get better. I'm not the biggest fan of the brick aesthetic they got going on, but I really do like this map's layout. It's got flanks, it's got plenty of paths into mid, it's got plenty of room in mid and on the platforms to swim around. It's very difficult to get up to spawn on this map, and the cover and sniping purchase on this map make it a great place for both long and short range weapons to thrive. The only thing I'm not too fond of is tower control. I didn't really like it in Splatoon 2. They definitely did improve it for Splatoon 3, but it's not entirely on par with the rest of the map's modes. However, that is just a minor nitpick on what is otherwise an amazing map. Number 3, Hagglefish Market. This is easily the best original Splatoon 3 map, and until Rebel Ramen came out, it was by a long shot. I got nothing bad to say about how the map plays in any mode. All modes, even Splat Zones, is an amazing experience here. I will say I have one minor nitpick with the layout. I don't appreciate how difficult it is to get back up to the main level from the right side enemy flank, but hey, at least it has a flank, and it has a great flank on the left side too. I love sneaking in with the Rainmaker around back sometimes, or even sneaking a Power Clam in back there. Gotta get those sweet viral clips, am I right? Number 2, Mako Mart. This stage is amazing and I love everything about it. It's got great flanks, great cover, great elevation changes. All the modes are amazingly fun. The only reason it's not in first place is because of how the spawn area works in Rainmaker. Yeah, because of how the Rainmaker goal requires you to pass by the enemy spawn in order to knock out, I had to dock it a point. But other than that, this map's incredible. Easily one of my favorites from Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. Speaking of favorites, what map do we have left? Number 1, Manta Maria. This map is beautiful, it's exquisite, it's wonderful, it's gorgeous. I'll sing its praises all day long, it deserves it. I've especially always appreciated how difficult it was to get to the enemy spawn on this map, and though they removed a block on the left side that can be used to flank, they did make several improvements to this map over how it was in 2, the most prominent of which I would say would be widening out the back platforms, and yeah, I got nothing else to say about this map. It deserves its near perfect score. So there we have it, my definitive ranking of all the Splatoon stages. I'm just going to put them all flying behind my head so you can see them as I'm talking. Oh, there they are, cool. But anyway, do you agree with my ranking? Or are you going to head down into the comments and tell me how wrong I am? Either way, I'd greatly appreciate it if you will like the video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you again for watching the video to the end. It really does mean a lot to me. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta go figure out who to bribe to get the Reef and Snapper Canal in for the next season.